Dave, you know why I love using Zencastr?
Is it because the recording quality is better than other methods of recording a podcast virtually?
Nope.
Is it because they offer a free version for hobbyists just getting started?
No, not that.
Is it because it's super easy to use for everyone and none of our guests have ever had an issue using it?
That's not it.
Is it because they offer automatic post-production and transcription services?
Negative.
Stop burying the lead. Why do you love Zencastr?
It's because Zencastr is all of the things you just said, Dave. Well, and they sponsor this pod. That's right, Adventures in Collecting is powered by Zencastr. How about your pod? Get started now with Zencastr and use our code to start podcasting today. Visit zencastr.com/pricing and use promo code AICPOD to get 30% off your first 3 months of their professional plan or try it for free. That's zencastr.com/pricing and use promo code AICPOD.
Are you ready, kids? Get your parents' permission, check your mailbox, and grab your shopping cart. It's time for the Adventures in Collecting podcast.
I'm Eric.
And I'm Dave. Welcome to Adventures in Collecting, where we talk toy news, culture, and hauls.
Along with our journeys as collectors.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Adventures in Collecting.
Hi.
We're back. I am real tired, Dave.
I am tired of sitting.
So I just got back from New York Comic Con, from 3 days at New York Comic Con. Our plan was to do this.
I shifted over slightly on a couch.
So our plan was to do this together, and unfortunately, as life tends to do, decided that I was gonna have to go it alone, right, Dave?
Yeah. About 4 weeks ago. Yeah, 4 weeks ago, probably to the minute of when you're listening to this. I fell down some stairs and broke my leg. So
Now listen, you don't have to be humble. We all know that you saved a bus full of school children from
the stairs.
from a herd of angry rhinos.
Yeah, probably rhinos.
And you broke your leg. You don't have to blame it on the stairs. It's definitely, you did it doing something heroic, right?
Yeah. Waking up and getting coffee.
Hey, people, now we just have to add a new rule, Dave. Don't send your first email before a cup of coffee. Don't
descend stairs. Well, if I'm not allowed to descend stairs before coffee, then I won't have coffee.
Well, you just gotta get the old K-cup machine in your room.
So everyone, when you saw Eric's footage from New York Comic Con, I wasn't holding his phone. I was nowhere near the Javits Center.
Yeah, you weren't just really committed to not being on camera.
Yeah.
this time.
Yeah, I wasn't living up to, I guess, my usual non-camera self. I was sitting on a couch.
Well, let me first say this. So you were sorely missed, and all the folks that I met on our behalf send their well wishes to your speedy recovery. And I will say that the Javits Center is huge.
It is.
It's even bigger than the last time we were there, Dave, because they finished that whole Javits North section.
Oh, they finally finished the construction?
So all of the panels and all of the no, really just all of the panels and like the main stage presentations are now in that Javits North section. So let me lay this out for you. For those of you that have been to the Javits Center and New York Comic Con, this will make perfect sense to you. For everyone who has never been to New York Comic Con, you're going to be lost for a minute, but just stick with me. So the typical layout, they still have Artist Alley is on the ground floor down there, and like the autograph queues, like those signing queues, are still on the first floor, and then the main floor is now just kind of the exhibition area. So that's where all the booths are set up. And then now in the new section in Javits North, there are effectively 3 levels of conference rooms that they have set up for panels. So ranging from like borderline stadium sized or arena sized rooms that have hundreds upon hundreds of chairs in it, to kind of smaller, more intimate settings. But let me tell you, tackling it as one person is a lot of walking.
Yeah, it sounds like it would have been an absolute good time to do with a pair of crutches and a boot.
Yeah, no, you would not have been able to do this.
I can't climb stairs right now.
And I know we discussed like pushing around in a wheelchair, and there were, like the Javits Center, it being 2022 and, very inclusive environment. They definitely were accommodating for folks that, needed to be in a wheelchair, elevator access, all that good stuff. But it would have been very cumbersome trying to do what we would normally do at one of these events, with a wheelchair. Of course, it's just very packed and, gets very crowded. And I think we made the right call, as much as my legs will be very angry with me tomorrow. Won't be as angry as your leg is with you.
Yeah, it's it's on the way to not being so angry. So
Well, this is good. So, what we're gonna do today on the show is,
did we ever say who won the draft?
Oh, we don't need to talk about that because you won by a
How did
landslide.
I still don't know how I got
I mean,
all those picks.
you won by like a landslide. I stopped caring about. I was gonna try to do like a percentage thing, and then it just kind of like it just took off in your direction. Poor Toyshes, man. Like he got like 2 votes, like literally 2, and I thought his team was actually better than mine. To be honest with you, or his toy aisle. I keep saying team. But yeah, congratulations, Dave. Your toy aisle.
I do think he had the second best one.
Your toy aisle is the Reign Supreme.
I 100% over prepared for that, and then when like the second round came around and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fell into my lap, I was like, all right.
Yeah, and then Bryant and I were very I honestly don't remember who came in second. But we were very close. Him and I were very, very close. But you were by far the landslide victory there. So golf claps for Dave, the inaugural winner of the draft, the Fantasy Twinland draft. So I think we'll definitely do that again next year, and we'll maybe we'll make it a little bit bigger. We'll have more teams next year. We'll see how it goes.
I think we have to, just so something like that doesn't happen again.
Okay, so today's episode, Comic-Con. I had the opportunity to meet up with a couple of folks from the toy brands that were there. And I have some really cool sound bites from them, as I was able to kind of collect them. And there's one that's not on here, that I do just want to mention real quick. We'll definitely talk about it. But Neca, we actually have a full booth tour from Neca. It's like 30 minutes long. A friend of the pod, Blaine, did a great job of taking us through the booth. You know what? Screw it. We'll talk about Neca right now first. We'll just get it out of the way. You can watch that entire booth tour over on our YouTube channel. So if you just search for Adventures in Collecting on YouTube, or go to adventuresincollectingpodcast.com, you will find a link to our YouTube channel, and definitely check out the booth tour, because they had a lot of really cool things on display. Plus, their kind of theme this year was the Neca. They were opening the Neca Vault. So they had new things on display. So they, of course, had new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles products. No, there was no update on the Turtle Van Party Wagon at this juncture. But they did have new Toon Turtles. They had new IDW comic Turtles out. They had revealed the Phantom of the Opera Casey Jones Universal Monsters crossover. Blaine did drop some really, really helpful hints as he was going through the booth tour. So, he wanted to call out the fact that, the Turtle Gang, Casey and April have now been fully announced. But he did want to point out that Splinter is Van Helsing. And right now there's nothing for Van Helsing to hunt. And there is a particular famous villain in the Turtles lore that has not been brought into the Universal Monsters fold yet. Of course, it's Shredder. So I think the safe bet is that we might be looking at a kind of Dracula take on old Shredhead. He also did hint at, while we're talking about monsters, I showed off their play sets that are accessory packs, play sets that come for the Universal Monsters. And there was a tease for the Bride of Frankenstein for 2023. So nothing on display there for that. But, he did mention that was definitely coming to the line. NECA is just always they always have fun, fun stuff going with their IPs, especially now. They're cranking out a literal like buffet of fun nostalgia fueled toys. But going back to the whole vault idea, Dave, they actually were selling both prior con exclusives and also just some kind of older figures like from the vault. But the notable one was they had the musical Mutagen Tour Turtles for sale there. Because if you remember, that tour poster and shirt that came with those had the October 2020 date on it.
I do remember that.
And
that was our guess for that time, if I remember correctly.
Correct. But of course, New York Comic Con did not happen in 2020. So they actually sat on that inventory and waited for New York Comic Con to come back and offered
cool.
the Turtles in New York. And as far as I know they sold out at least on 2 of the days, because the way that all the companies were doing the exclusives was each day had its own kind of like allotment. So that way they had stuff, inventory throughout the length of the con. I did notice the sold out sign on the Turtles several times. I don't know if they sold through all of it. But they did sell through like a sizable amount of it. But you could definitely check out that entire booth tour, like I said, on our YouTube channel. But speaking of booths, kind of just in general, I feel like the best place to start would be with our friends over at Bandai Collectibles, because when it came to booths at New York Comic Con, they had like a city block practically in booth form. They had a suite of booths, I guess you could say, from everything from the Tamashii Nations to the Tamagotchi to Gundam to various anime IPs like Demon Slayer and One Piece and Naruto. They just and Studio Ghibli. They had so many booths. Like, it was such an experiential thing. And you're gonna hear right now from Justin Cavender, friend of the pod, over at Bandai, talking a little bit about what they had on display.
Hi.
We are here with friend of the pod, returning guest Justin Cavender.
close. Cavender, like lavender, but with the C.
I know, but I like putting the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable sometimes.
Yeah. Like Samuel L. Jackson.
There we go. So we are at the Bandai booth here at New York Comic Con, and there's just too much to talk about.
Yes.
You guys have booths. You have a suite of booths.
We do. A plethora of booths. A gaggle of booths.
What does one call
a murder of booths.
A murder of booths. Everything from giant Gundam installations to Shenrons hanging from the sky. You guys have a lot of experiential things here.
We do. That's what we're all about at the Bandai, is the experience.
So tell us a little bit about what's gone into kind of putting all this together.
Ooh, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in this post-COVID world with bloodborne pathogens and what have yous. No, it's a group effort. We're all here. It's an all-hands-on-deck kind of show. We love New York. We love coming here. In fact, we'll be here in a month for Anime NYC. But my goodness, you're right. It is quite a spectacle. We have the Gundam base. We have Bandai Entertainment here demoing One Piece Odyssey. Of course, there is the Dragon Ball booth where you mentioned the flying Shenron, where people can play like a trading card game. They can build model kits. They can play Gundam Breakers. There's photo opportunities with power-ups and flying Nimbus and even Frieza beaming down at you. It's all sorts of fun activities. We have the Orange Piccolo SHF on display. Awesome reveal there, as well as another Brawly for crying out loud. Just a lot of action. And then, of course, we have the One Piece USA Tour. This is the final stop. It began in Los Angeles with Anime Expo. It went on to Chicago for C2E2, and now it is ending here in New York City. Like, New York City? For all you salsa fans out there.
And of course, you have exclusives.
We do.
Just at this event.
We do. Tamashii Nation's brought the heat when it comes to exclusives. Of course, we have the SHF Brawly. We have some Gundam Universe exclusives. There's the new Gundam, and then the RX-78. We have an Ultraman that was here at New York Comic Con as well, based off the Marvel comic. And then you got the old Monster Arts Kong, which I know you're a big fan of. Thank you very much for your support. And then Madara. Love the SHF. And then, and we even have Figure Art Zero One Piece figures. Those ones were available for pre-order at during AX when the One Piece USA Tour kicked off. And now they are here for not only people to just look at and enjoy, but also to purchase.
Yeah, and they look incredible. They're massive statues.
Yes, love them. A lot of points. You will. Kevin McAllister could defend his home with those Figure Art Zero.
And we didn't mention the World of Ghibli is also here.
Oh, correct. So Studio Ghibli has a big presence here. You can follow them at World of Ghibli US on all social media platforms. We have a life-size Totoro that is ginormous. It arrived in like a mummy sarcophagus. It's in a giant crate. It's amazing. We also have two large paper theater photo ops, one celebrating Princess Mononoke's 25th anniversary, as well as a cat bus. Because we love the autobus, especially when there's a cat involved.
El gato de
autobus. Sí.
Sí.
Yeah. Magnifico. Muchos fantásticos.
As always, ton of awesome stuff, and probably more to be on display soon. I think there was a couple of things hinted at that were coming from the Tamashii Nation event, right?
Yes. More reveals soon, as they say.
Well, thank you for your time, Mr.
You are very
Cavender.
welcome. Ooh, you're welcome. I love it. I love being on this show. I might take it over. I might usurp the host. Is that a thing?
That's a thing. Usurper! Usurper!
Exactly. Bring it all back. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Justin, for all that information. Erik, you were there, like you were saying, it was significant amount of stuff, and from the pictures, it definitely looked like it was some good stuff. But what really kind of stuck out to you?
I mean, like Justin was saying, like, sure, they had really cool exclusives and the products, and of course like the reveals. They honestly, in terms of like con, if I was gonna say who won the con for me, it definitely would be Bandai, just because they did have my two favorite reveals, toy reveals, being the Orange Piccolo from the Dragon Ball Super movie, superhero that just came out. Figure looks gorgeous. And the also from the Dragon Ball Super superhero movie, the kind of depowered Broly. Um, but their installations were just insane. Whether it was like the 1-to-1 scale size, statues like photo ops with people like Piccolo and or characters like Piccolo and Gohan. But like they had like a giant. I don't want to say it's to scale because it was too far away to tell, but like they had like a giant Shenron dragon hanging from the sky. They had a giant Gundam that like lit up and had sound effects. They had like their Demon Slayer booth had these like gorgeous Proplica swords on display, but it had that kind of like tatami mat, paper walled kind of like look to it. It was each booth was really cleverly designed to kind of encapsulate the brands and IPs it represented, and they're all right next to each other. So like you kind of just explored from one to the next, and they were right in front of the entrance. So like literally the first thing that you see when you walk into the I don't know whether it's the east or west entrance of the main floor, but like the first thing you saw when you walked in was just the like Bandai suite. And if their goal was to make something splashy and experiential, they absolutely did that because you could not miss their stuff. You couldn't miss it. And they also had audio to go along with it. So it was really really well done booth wise. And before we stop talking about Bandai, the Brawly event exclusive that was there did sell out before the end of the event. It is available now for pre-order on Premium Bandai. So if you missed it, if you weren't there, I was there and I couldn't even get it. It's now available on P Bandai. So we have a link to that on our Instagram page. That's available for $90 and it's pre-order, so it'll be a window, and then it'll ship to you. I think they're saying March of 2023. So moving on from Bandai. Before we head into another one of our audio clips, Dave, Funko. I feel like we have to talk about Funko.
I mean, Funko had their usual array of exclusives. They had I think this is the first time they've done an event for New York Comic Con. I believe it was Frightmare on Fun Street or Fright
right.
Night.
Yep. Frightful fun for everyone.
So that was something new, and they did show off a couple things there. Nothing officially kind of like out announced, but stuff that the usual array of here you pipeline stuff and prototypes that people want, and the boxes of fun. But another large array of exclusives, and I believe some of those are still up at funko.com.
Yeah, their booth was really the exterior, and again, like sticking with that kind of theme of experiential. It looked like a giant haunted house. Really really fun exterior. They had like a DJ that was kind of just playing Halloween music, like dance Halloween mashup music the whole time. It was connected to the Loungefly booth as well.
Yeah.
So it was just this big haunted house. The one thing I will say that I guess you could say I was disappointed in was they didn't have any of the new, like the coming soon stuff for display. They didn't have any built-in displays. It was literally an installation to purchase the event exclusives, which is totally fine. I mean, like like I said, it was gorgeous, and the people there that were really into Funko were having a great time. And I saw
I
people,
feel that's
leaving
generally
with huge
par
bags.
for the course. I feel like that's generally par for the course for them for the cons is, it's a way to, or it's their booth is kind of
A store,
yeah.
which is fine. I mean, again, like, it's just they were the only. I will say that they were the only toy company there that had a presence that only had a store. Everyone else that was there from a toy brand had something to kind of show you what was coming, versus it just being a store element. So that definitely was the differentiator for them in terms of their presence. But in terms of organization, since I'm the map is still very fresh in my head, we're gonna stay over on that side of the building where Funko was, and we're gonna head over to one of their neighbors at Super 7. So they were pretty close by to each other. Super 7 had I actually really liked their booth design. It was part store, part kind of display, but like it was just built very nicely. I liked how it was laid out. It had like a nice kind of like open flow through the middle. You could enjoy the stuff that was on display. They had a lot of their one whole wall of their section was dedicated to those jumbo figures that they're doing now. So those really really big, like supersized, like they had like Mummy Boy, and they had the Snoopy, and some of the Charlie Brown ones, the Reptar. So just kind of seeing those giant vinyl figures all in one window, they looked really impressive all together. And it's actually the first time I've seen any of the jumbo ones in person. The one that really jumped out at me was the Socks, the cat one from Buzz Lightyear, because to me that looks like it's like 1-to-1 scale.
I believe it is.
And it's very, they're very sharp. They're very for like big, like jumbo plastic toys, like they are collectibles. They do have a lot of really great detail to them. But I met while I was at the Super 7 booth, outside of finally getting a chance to speak to the man himself, Brian Flynn. I met with Augie, who is one of the brand researchers, and he took me through some of the things that were on the other side of the booth. So let's hear from Augie over at Super 7. We are looking at some first looks here at the starting off with the Power Rangers in pack. So Augie, tell us a little bit about what we're looking at.
So Power Rangers, we're looking at Ultimates Wave 1, which is the Green Ranger, the Yellow Ranger, Goldar, Putty Patrol, and the Tyrannosaurus Dinozord. We're at final packaging samples. Everything looks like about ready to go, and they'll be in production soon, and you guys will have them even sooner.
So tell us a little bit about the inspiration of the packaging here, because it is very indicative of that kind of Mighty Morphin Power Ranger brand.
Yeah, it's got that 90s retro look. With the Thunderbolts coming in the middle and that classic green packaging, which was cool back in the day when it was like a uniting color, because it was the one color that wasn't a Ranger, but we didn't know at the time that there was going to be a Green Ranger. For those of us old school fans who were collecting the original 5 Rangers on the triangle cards, so we wanted to harken back to that. And then, of course, we had to start with the Green Ranger because he's arguably the most popular Ranger in history. And then, we brought in the Yellow Ranger and decided not to keep it to one. So this is the Ultimate. So there are 2 Yellow Rangers, Aisha and Trini, so we decided to do both of them. And then it was just sort of like, what's the greatest nuclear collection you could do? And it would be, Rita's moon base, and you got an army build, of course. So the Putty and Goldar, that's actually gold, which we're really excited about. It's a gorgeous centerpiece, which is why we have it in the center of the booth. He's so beautiful. And then, of course, you have to have an army of putties. Can't have one. So you could choose whether you want it to be the regular Season 1 putty or the Z Ranger. The Lord Zed putty, the Z putty. And then you have the Tyrannosaurus Dinozord. We thought it would be really cool to replicate Goldar always fighting the Tyrannosaurus pre-Megazord, how it's like a guy in a suit. And we wanted to recreate what the fans saw on TV and capturing that memory of watching all those episodes.
They look really great. They look really sharp in packaging. And like you said, that Goldar paint job, it really pops.
His name is Goldar. He should be gold.
So moving down the case here, I think the next thing that we need to talk about is definitely the Silverhawks. So this is the first time that we're seeing these colored. We're seeing, we're kind of seeing them in person. Tell us a little bit about what you've heard so far from the fans on the floor, and kind of any other feedback.
The feedback we've been getting is a lot of they look better in person. I don't know what it is with the lighting. Even with myself taking pictures with my own camera phone, seeing my own work and seeing what the team has done and getting feedback. My experience, my phone is taking a different photo than what's in the booth, and some details are getting washed out that you can see in person is clearly there. The color shifting paint looks amazing, and unfortunately isn't getting picked up on a phone. I don't know why in photographs, but I mean, we're really proud of how they're coming along. They look amazing. I really like the color shifting paint. When I first heard about it, the same paint you kind of see on automobiles, I was like, oh, I'm going to have to see what that looks like. And it's better than I imagined. I'm very excited about the two versions of each Fighting Hawk. Monstar is amazing. He is in scale. And we actually looked at the model sheets, and Quicksilver is exactly to his elbow, exactly where Monstar was. And Monstar, we made him extra large to make sure he is the exact perfect scale that the fans are expecting. And to be honest, I'm so excited to put Quicksilver together with Lion-O, to put Monstar together with Mumra, and just being able to create that kind of Thunder Force family.
Yeah, the color shifting paint, it really, I don't know what it is either, because prior to talking to you today, I saw pictures of Silverhawks and was getting a little concerned, but actually seeing them in person, the pictures really don't do them justice.
There's a depth that the camera's not picking up. And if it's the shadows or what it is, but even myself, like I would see Buzzsaw, and he's clearly yellow in the booth, and the pictures are coming out a little greenish. And it's nice to say, it's nice to see honest feedback from the fans, and good, bad, or indifferent. And I mean, it's exciting to see them saying like they love what they see, they're excited about this coming. They were unsure, but they've come around, and it's really encouraging, and we're excited to bring it to them. We're excited for people to finally be able to play with them.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Augie. Can't wait to see what else Super 7 comes up with next.
Me too. You guys are gonna be stoked. I'm pumped.
And we're back. So some interesting stuff from Super 7. And again, you could see from the photos that a lot of cool stuff on display.
Yeah, friend of the pod, Kyle is crushing it over there with that Godzilla stuff, and like the horror and the Bruce Lee and kind of that pop culture stuff. Now,
I believe he's got the metal ones as well, like King Diamond and
Yep.
Papa.
Now, I'm just gonna throw this out here because this was like a kind of a point of contention during New York Comic Con. Like a lot of people were covering it. I am not I can only speak for myself. My introduction to Silverhawks has literally been by doing this podcast and covering toy news. I am not a Silverhawks guy. It was a toy brand that like I honestly did not know existed until I started covering toys with Adventures in Collecting. Like that was just not a toy brand that was on my radar ever.
It was mostly my era.
So a lot of people, I know there's been a lot of like back and forth about these Silverhawks figures. And I guess it puts me in a unique position to say, okay, so I don't know nothing about nothing. But I will say that the Silverhawks figures, that the painted ones they had there, no, they did not look like the renders. So the face sculpt that's on the main guy, I don't remember his name. I'm awful.
I don't remember character names.
Listen, we can't be experts on everything, but the main guy, the face sculpted that I saw with my own two eyes did not look like the rendering that they shared. However, the pictures, including our pictures of these figures, I don't know whether it was the thickness of the glass, the lighting that was on them, the color of the background. I literally could not figure it out. And they were not in a position to open the glass case to let me take, photos. And Augie and I were talking about this at length because he was having the same issue. These figures were not photographing well in that environment. There's just no other way around it, because literally I'm looking at the figure with my own eyes, taking a picture, holding them up next to each other and going, this is not what I'm like. I'm not. This is not what I'm seeing. First of all, the figures have this kind of iridescent paint on them that's almost like there's definitely a word for it, but like that paint job that's on some cars where like as
Yeah.
you move the color changes. It's almost lenticular like, but it's not technically
It's kind of like
lenticular.
that chromium style from all those 90s, early 90s like comic books.
Yeah, I want to say it's like color morphing or so. Like it has some sort of term to it, but the figures have that paint job. So like a character that has like a blue and silver kind of vibe, depending on how you're looking at it and what angle, it changes. And again, something with that case, the lighting, something, the details on the face, um, were just getting completely lost. Like any shadow that was being cast on any part of the face, no matter what angle you took it from, was just getting completely washed out on a camera. Now, again, I'm shooting on my phone. I didn't have like my camera with me. Um, Maybe that would have made a difference. I really don't know. But I, you know, I'm not going to lie and say the figures look exactly like the renders because they don't. But they look substantially better than the way that they're photographing. So for everybody that like pre-ordered it and might be feeling a little uneasy or a little panicked, I would say just give it a little bit of time and wait until they can get those figures in a studio and take,
Oh,
possibly better pictures of them.
and I think that was the case too for the New Japan figures and for Matt and Brian. So like,
Yeah. I guess I would say trust the process. Now again, I don't know. I'm not making the judgment call on whether or not the figure looks like the character, whether it looks like it's supposed to on the cartoon versus the old figures. I'm not commenting on that. I'm commenting purely on the aesthetic presentation of the figure. So take that for what you will, or do with that what you will.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
This segment is brought to you by our friends at Chubsy Wubsy Toys. A traditional mom and pop toy store in Little Falls, New Jersey, Chubsy Wubsy Toys brings you the best new toys from the brands you love without the hassle of pounding the pavement searching for them at larger retail stores. Visit them in person at 106 Main Street in Little Falls, New Jersey, or online at chubsywubsy.com. That's CHUBZYWUBZZY.com. And tell them Adventures in Collecting sent you.
Hop into a new career with CGC, the world leader in pop culture collectibles grading. CGC is seeking world-class Funko Pop experts to lead a new division dedicated to authenticating and grading collectible toys. This is an incredible opportunity to help build a new grading service in a hot collectibles category. Think you can play the part? Apply today at cgcgrading.com/careers. That's cgcgrading.com/careers.
And now, a word from our sponsor, BetterHelp. The world we live in is full of challenges, and that can make it difficult to focus on what really matters. We've all been raised to appreciate the importance of taking care of our bodies, but what about our minds? Talking to a therapist can help identify stressors, learn to healthily manage them, and lead to a more confident and productive mind. BetterHelp is an affordable, accessible, and flexible online solution to your mental health care needs. After taking a brief survey, BetterHelp will match you with a therapist, and you could switch at any time. When you want to be a better problem solver, therapy can get you there. Visit betterhelp.com/AIC today to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/AIC.
And now, back to the show.
All right, finishing up on that side of the show floor was also the Noble Collection. Now we've had Julian on the show before. Super passionate guy about what the Noble Collection is doing, and he's hinted at it. We knew it was coming. but they were actually revealed the first pieces in their Minecraft collection. So I'm calling it Minecraft IRL. They're just calling it the Noble Collection Minecraft. And these pieces, Dave, were extraordinarily striking.
They look cool from the photos.
Absolutely ridiculous. And well, you're going to hear from Julian right now. So here's Julian from the Noble Collection on the Minecraft pieces.
So I am here with Julian at the Noble Collection, and they have just unveiled their brand new Minecraft collection. Julian, tell us a little bit about what we got here.
We're super excited to be able to show this to the fans for the very first time. The unique take, the approach we've taken here is what's the Minecraft items look like in the real world. When they still have to have the pixelated look, but in the real world, the wood has wood grain in it. The handle of the sword is wrapped in leather. So we deco it to replicate, to bring it more into the real world, differentiate it from what's out there. In the game, it's beautiful colors, and people have fun wielding these weapons in the game. But when you're wielding it in the game, it might be, just pixelated images, but you're really living this when you're in the game. You're experiencing it, you're building the world out. So we wanted to give folks a chance to experience those products and tools in the real world. So we're starting off with the diamond sword and the pickaxe. We have a potion bottle that with just a touch, you can change the colors to replicate the potion you want to display. The torch, also touch activated with that pulsing ember light, and you can display that on the wall or hold it like a torch if you like. And then the ores also have that pulsing glow, starting with the red and the blue one, and also touch activated.
Yeah, the detail on these is absolutely incredible. Like how you've worked the patina and kind of the texturing into the metal on the diamond sword, and even like the wood grain on the torch and the handle. The thing that jumped out to me immediately was I thought that was a cork.
Yes,
in the top of the bottle.
Right,
and it's not a cork.
No, it's not a cork. It's and it looks like a cork, just like the wood. You can see the wood grain, but it is. We were considering cork for a while, but opted that this gave it a much better look and would actually hold up better over time. The what you said about adding the patina and the look was important to us. One other thing that we've done is the stand for the sword and the pickaxe removes from the base, and you can mount that on the wall. So as a collector, if you decide you want your sword mounted on the wall, you can, or if you want to put it up in your display cabinet, you can do that as well. So we give them the choice with the engineering that we've done on the display piece.
So roughly when are people going to be able to get their hands on these?
Second half of next year. As soon as, towards the end of summer, coming into fall, you should be able to see these. They'll all be available on noblecollection.com, amazon.com, and then we're talking to retailers right now. The response has been very good. They appreciate the fact that the quality is phenomenal, the look is unique. It's definitely, targeting that collector, someone who either has invested thousands or hundreds of hours playing the game, or who plays it with their kids or play it with themselves and just want to be able to put a piece in their house or their office that celebrates that fandom, but still feels like a high-end collector.
So conversely, coming off of what I just said about Super 7 and the issue with the photography, their setup made these look exquisite. I could not. It actually hurt my brain. I wanted to pick them up and touch them, but they were in glass cases because I had such a difficult time thinking that these were plastic. The detail, the deco, the colors, the paint on them. If they can replicate this in production, these things are going to be huge for the Minecraft community. I have to believe, because what and Julian kind of alluded to this, but the designers really took into consideration, like, okay, I'm going to take a look at this 3D rendered, pixely torch. And I noticed, like, oh, this one little 4x4 square or 1x1 square is significantly darker than the, 2x6 rectangle that's underneath it. So they really kind of honed in and did all of these different wood textures and just like the flickering pattern of the LEDs. Like they really do look like, I'm sitting here now thinking about it. Remember the episode of The Simpsons, that Treehouse of Horror, where like Homer gets like 3Dified?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's almost like you reached into your computer and pulled out this torch, and this is what it looks like. Like it's just it's wild. I think Minecraft has a very they have a very dedicated audience. They have people that put hours upon hours upon hours into playing the game. So I have to imagine that these are going to be pieces that that community is going to want.
It's also a very distinct style. Like when you see something Minecraft, you know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you don't if you're out of the loop on what Minecraft really is, and consider me part of that. But like I know when I see something from Minecraft, like, oh, this is from Minecraft.
So what did you think seeing those pictures?
I know this has been something that's been teased previously, and it definitely exceeded the expectations that I had of it, because when you think of the idea of Minecraft in reality, at that point, is it just a sword? Or if it's blocks, then is it going to look like blocks? And it's kind of both. It's all of those things, but in a way that makes sense. And I think the thing that really kind of makes it cool is that multiple use of textures, and the multiple textures, and all the grains and the patterns and all of that stuff. I think that is what really kind of makes it.
Oh yeah, and it's one of those things where like that's why I was curious, like you just looking at the picture, because like when you look at them and sitting there looking at them and like moving around them and looking at them from every different angle, you're like, leather doesn't do that. Like like leather should not be shaped that way. Like like that. Like it would be impossible for this to exist in real life, but here we are, and I'm looking at pixel, like something that's made out of effectively pixels, but textures. It's just the designers really knocked it out of the park. There's no other way to put it. If you're a fan of Minecraft, you're gonna want to at least see these. And from what they were saying, the prices on them were really reasonable. Like I don't think any of them were even close to $100. I think they said that maybe. I think Julian said that that they were looking at sub 100 for everything that was there.
Oh, that's great.
So, I think he may have even said that some of them, and I'm not going to say which one was which because I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I think one of the price points on at least one of them was like $29.99.
Oh,
so really, really reasonable. And they do, like you mentioned, they have LEDs and they have their touch sensitive, so they'll change colors depending on how many times they're kind of touched. Like think of those kind of lamps that do the same thing. But yeah, really, really cool. The Noble Collection, they're just they operate in a different space, and they really serve that niche really well. All right, so from the this wing of New York Comic Con, let's travel across, and it right smack dab in the middle, right behind Bandai, and front. I would actually say like literally in the middle of the main floor was the Marvel booth, and our friends from Hasbro were there with the Engine of Vengeance in the I don't want to say in the flesh, in the brimstone. The Hell Charger was there, along with Robbie and Maddie and Mephisto, and I had the opportunity to chat with Dan, Ryan, and Dwight. So let's hear what they have to say about the Engine of Vengeance.
All right, guys, I am here with the Marvel Legends team. We're looking at our HasLab. We got the Engine of Vengeance. I'm here with Dwight, Ryan, and Dan. Guys, we got the whole thing laid out in front of us here. Tell us what we're looking at.
Well, seeing is believing. So we got both modes here on display at New York Comic Con. We've got the Hellfire mode, we've got the Street mode, we've got all the figures, all the tiers so far. And we just really wanted to get it in front of the fans to really see kind of the size and also the detailing and the deco, because that doesn't necessarily come across with renders or the photography.
So Dan, what's one thing that maybe somebody doesn't know, not seeing this in person? What's something that they should walk away with?
I think, honestly, the scale of the car and just the lights and everything that you see in person is so much better in person, I would say, than, like, the photos. The photos are great, too, but I think when you see it in person, the scale, the amount of deco on it, the detailing inside the car and the lights, they shine through really in person. But that's just me. What about you guys?
Although the car is mostly black, Dwight and the team, all the little touches from the mirrors to the handles to the actual car parts, like those are all separate pieces, and decoed accordingly. So it's more complex than you think, and especially like you get inside, you look at the inside of the car, the seats are detailed, the dash, the shifter, all the control panels, the inside of the doors, all those little touches.
I like the little touch that you might not be able to notice is like the fire on the inside of the grill of the front of the car. It just looks like a gray grill, but when it illuminates, there's a fire sculpted piece behind it that kind of has this cool flickering effect, kind of like those old fan wheels in front of a LED or a light bulb that kind of made the fire effect. It's kind of a modern version of that, which is just kind of a extra little touch that you don't necessarily capture until you see it actually working in front of you, but it brings that extra little level to it, which is pretty sweet.
So we're seeing the whole project here in front of us with all the tiers and everything. I think Maddie was a big announcer for people, something that people have wanted for a really long time. What were some of the things that kind of inspired this particular design for her?
Well, if we've wanted to do Madeline for a long time. She has a more challenging costume, so to do the Inferno, the most I think the most iconic version of her, we got permission to put her into this set. So being able to do that version here now was really exciting for us because we wanted to approach that figure for a very, very long time. Everybody knows I love Jean. I equally love clones of Jean. Why not? And it was just kind of awesome to be able a chance to give the fans an opportunity to hopefully get her here.
So now having this out in front of everybody, today at Comic-Con, what's been overall the reaction, for people seeing it?
Yeah, the fan reaction has been pretty positive, I would say. Everyone kind of echoing that sentiment of seeing it in person is more impressive than they would have thought coming in. So we just need to see that translate on the website. But we still got a couple of weeks left, and we're kind of doing everything we can. Hopefully the word gets out.
So, Dan, remind us one more time, where can we back the Engine of Vengeance?
Yeah, if you just go to HasbroPulse.com, we also have the Hasbro Pulse app now, and in both places you can go and back the Engine of Vengeance.
So there you have it. There's some more info, and just as a little kind of extra, hey Eric, will we be hearing about more from the Engine of Vengeance?
Why, yes, Dave. So next week, on next week's show, you'll be hearing from Dan Yun himself. So Dan will be our next guest on the pod. So consider this something to whet your appetite for a further conversation with Dan.
I would say this is probably the thing I'm kind of most jealous of you being able to have seen in person. Just because it's something I would have loved to have seen in person, just so I can kind of speak more to it. But I'm 100% still on board. I've put in my backing for the Engine of Vengeance. The Robbie in the car are something that I think is really cool. As a Ghost Rider collector, it's something that I would love to have in my collection. So.
And it's I have to say as somebody and I told the guys this, like, my Marvel Legends collection focuses on the MCU. There's no I don't hide that. But I did mention at length your love for Ghost Rider, all iterations of the character. Not that I needed convincing in terms of just kind of to support this thing the way that we're doing, but seeing it in person, I'm sitting there going, man, do I want this? Like, I kind of want this because, and we're gonna save most of this conversation for next week's episode because again, we're gonna have Dan on, but between now and then, one of the one thing that I want you to think about, and of course, this is something that obviously the folks at Hasbro are never going to use as a marketing tool for one of their own products, but this car, whether it's in hell mode or not, has so many applications to your 1/12 scale figure collection. Any of you out there that are dropping hundreds of dollars on Mezco figures and you have those pink skulls and you have any of the Rumble Society stuff, you have Gomez, you're dropping $100 plus on one figure sometimes. And they're going to look so good in this car. And it's something that, like, if you're looking to add value to something, if you're one of those people, first off, if you're somebody that's not interested in this project, this little message is not for you. Hit that little 15-second skip button on on your podcast app. But if you're somebody that's considering this, if you're hearing this and you're considering it, you're on the fence, think about how your entire collection fits into, or think about how this car fits into the rest of your collection. Think about how cool Destro would look sitting in this car. Think about how cool, like I said, those Mezco Rumble Society, the Pink Skull figures. Think about your wrestling figures that could potentially sit in this. I'm just throwing it out there. If you are looking to find a way to make the price tag make sense to you, if that's the sticking point for you, but you really love the project and you really love the product, when you see this thing in person, it's not just like a simple paint job, simple deco. I mean, it looks like a car. Like, and I know that sounds silly, but like the paint job, the way the light plays on it, the little details, towards the end of the con, they positioned Ghost Rider in the car, sitting, so that way you could see that LED and how it lights up his head while he's in there. It really is an awesome project, and I think I speak on behalf of both of us. We really want to see this exist. So, again,
Not to mention, like Ghost Rider, the Johnny Blaze one comes with a bike. Cosmic Ghost Rider comes with the Cosmic Cycle.
Yeah.
Robbie should come with the car.
100%. And something that I'm sure we'll talk about again next week. We're gonna move on, I promise, after this point. But these figures, as you see them presented, Maddie, Mephisto, and Robbie, will not be offered outside of this project. So if this does not fund the likelihood that there will ever be another Marvel Legends figure of Robbie Reyes, of Mephisto, I'm saying this out loud, of Mephisto, you will very likely never get this chance to have these figures, and again, and Maddie as well. So just keep that in mind. I've said it already on this podcast, but today, but do with that information what you will. All right. So continuing our move through the convention floor, from Marvel, we are headed over to our friends at the Nacelle Company. So Brian Volk-Weiss and Rich Merrick at Nacelle, they had a panel that I sat in on, bringing us up to date on everything that the Nacelle Company is working on. But of course, we're here for the toys. So they announced their next wave of Sectors. They had their RoboForce figures, the first wave of their RoboForce figures, in hand on the table. They're big, they're chunky. As Brian would like me to say, they suck, Dave. RoboForce figures, they suck because their suction cups really, really work. So they suck. But they also announced the next season of A Toy Store Near You. But I'm going to shut up now and I'm gonna let Rich tell you this. So, Rich, take it away.
Hi guys, I'm here with Rich from Nacelle. During their panel today, they announced plans for Series 2 of their sectors. So Rich, tell us a little bit about what you announced today.
So if you followed along with what we've been doing with Sectars so far, you'll know that we are extending the vintage line. We are re-releasing figures that came out almost 40 years ago in their vintage aesthetic, using all the same tooling and molds. All that we're doing is adding a bunch of extra articulation that people probably wanted all the way back in 1985. So aside from some elbow joints and some ankle joints, it's the same Sectars figures that you remember and love from the original Coleco line. And because we have unprecedented access to the tooling and molds of all the stuff that Coleco not only released, but all the stuff that they were going to release as well, we'll be able to release figures that were supposed to be part of the extended line, Wave 2, Wave 3. You might have seen them in a catalog, but no one ever got them. So with Wave 1, we obviously released Stellara with the Dargon, Prince Dargon, who's the hero of the line. And Stellara is one of the most notable unreleased figures from Sectars. And we are continuing that trend with Wave 2. So we are releasing General Spydrax, who is the main villain of the Sectars line. And we're releasing Bandor, who is a unreleased character. If you remember watching the cartoon and you remember the laser bugs, they were these kind of like dragony looking dudes. So Bandor kind of looks like one of those guys. He's a green dragon rogue villain. And we're just really happy to be able to continue to release figures that were supposed to come out. They haven't come out. We're righting what went wrong and giving you all the Sectars figures that you wished you had when you were a kid.
Along with the Sectars announcement, you guys also announced the next season of a toy store near you.
Yes.
So that's Season 5. So tell us a little bit about where Season 5 is going to take us.
So Season 5 premieres on Thanksgiving Day, and it'll take you to Imperial Castle Toys, which is in Pawling, New York. You'll also get Earth to Kentucky, which is an incredible store in Covington, Kentucky. You'll get House of Plastic in Cincinnati, Ohio, Tardy's Collector's Corner in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and last but not least, Empire Toys in Keller, Texas. All of these stores are fantastic. Their owners are charismatic. They're sweethearts. They have amazing stories. I think you're going to love this season, and I'm just happy that we can continue to do this show and showcase all these amazing independent toy stores.
As always, it's awesome to see how Nacelle continues to develop and the next things that you have coming. You know, you have the Legends of Laughter, you have the Sectors, you have the Great Garlu, lots of things in the works, and we're excited to see what you do next.
We are excited to let you guys know what's up next. There's a bunch of stuff that I can't talk about yet, but it'll be released soon, so please stay tuned to all of our socials because we are not going to slow down anytime soon.
And remind us, where can we find you on social media?
You can find us at Toys Nacelle or the Nacelle Company, and you can also find us on Twitter at those same handles and our website, nacellecompany.com or the nacellestore.com.
All right, so there you have it. That's what you can expect to see from Sectors next year, and settle in with the fam on Thanksgiving and watch some toy store near you. So on all the places where you can find the Nacelle Company content. I think this one actually premieres on Prime, if I'm not mistaken. So, but yeah, really excited to visit 5 more toy stores. I will say something that's really cool that he said during the panel that he didn't mention in that soundbite is that this show now, people have come to them and have said that they've seen people who have started their own toy stores in this show, and it has inspired them to quit their job, open a toy store because it's something that they've always wanted to do, but they've been like afraid to do it. So seeing that other people on this show are doing it and maintaining their success in the middle of a pandemic, and it's inspiring, folks, Dave.
Yeah, and I mean it's also cool to see the Nacelle take their next logical step, which is, we've talked about toy history. We've talked about people who, love to collect and sell and bring toys to other people. Now it's time to make their own.
Yep.
And, you've seen a lot of people take that leap really over the past couple of years. So cool to see another kind of group of people make that step, take that leap.
And those RoboForce figures are no joke, man. Like I mean they have a living legend of the toy design world working with them in David Vonner. Um, the guy's pedigree in toy design is just nearly endless, and they have a really great team that's really passionate about what they do, and they have the talent. So really excited to see big chunky robots. That's one thing, right? There's doesn't get much more toyetic than a big chunky robot. I'm curious to see how the LOL line comes out, the Legends of Laughter, because
Mhm.
sometimes companies' first attempt at real human likenesses isn't, it could be rocky. So I'm really curious and optimistic, because of the talent that they have. But that's going to be, I think, the proving ground for them personally.
And Tim Clark with the Sectors.
Yep. Yeah, and that's just I love that they're working with him on it, and it's just obviously how we feel about Tim. He's an absolute legend as well. So
Mm-hmm.
um, so before we hit our last toy booth that we have a soundbite from, the only other thing I wanted to mention about the con was some of the panels. So I like to refer to kind of this stuff as like toy adjacent, but because you never know, right? So like I sat in on the Wednesday Addams Netflix panel, which was really great. They revealed during the panel that Christina Ricci is going to be in the show, and that in kind of like a cameo capacity, and that Fred Armisen is going to be playing Uncle Fester. They showed a clip. The Addams Family remains to be one of those super, super, super toyetic brands that does not have enough toys behind them. The most recent animated films with that came out did have some toys, and I think Mezco even did some 5 points of them. But like,
There were pops for the original series.
yeah, it's just that license is like I don't want to like put pressure on anybody, but like Neca. Neca needs to get this license. Like yesterday. They need, they need to make some Addams Family figures. It's like right in their wheelhouse. So maybe with maybe this Netflix show through Tim Burton, maybe they'll be able to secure some licensing and kind of test the waters, because again, like we're looking at a Tim Burton show, so it's very toyetic, very aesthetically pleasing.
The animated movie had pops too.
Yeah. Along with horror, I went to the Child's Play season 2, Chucky season 2, sorry. Panel really, really great. That cast looks like they're having a blast doing what they're doing. Jennifer Tilly is an absolute riot. um, and then I saw the Oscar Isaac Spotlight panel. And he was promoting his new graphic novel that he's working on, that's coming out at the end of October, called Sparrow. It's called Head Wounds Sparrow. Yeah, that's what it is. It's coming out through Legendary Comics. The art is gorgeous. But as I tend to do, burying the lead, one of the questions came up in terms of Moon Knight, and he did tell the same. It was fun to hear the same story that we heard from Mike when Mike was on the show, from his point of view, because it was the exact same story, but it was just it was from Oscar's point of view as opposed to Mike's. But he did get a nice little shout out. Mike was there. I had a chance to catch up with him as well, which was really nice. But the thing is, he confirmed he is not done with Moon Knight. He would not come right out and say that a season 2 was coming, but he did say that don't worry, he and the MCU are not done with Moon Knight. So for all you Moon Knight stans, he's coming back. So don't worry about that. But that takes us to our last toy booth for New York Comic Con, and we're gonna go over and visit our friends at Diamond Select. Now we recently had Zach on the show, and Zach talked about some of the things that kind of hinted that they were coming when he was on recently, but now they're revealed, so he can talk about them in full. So let's hear from Zach about the some of the new things that they had in their case on display.
I'm here with a friend of the pod, Zach Oat from Diamond Select, and they have some new things out on display, specifically from Jean-Claude Van Damme. Tell us a little bit about the action figure we're seeing here.
Right, that's a 7-inch scale action figure, our select scale, as we like to call it, and it's fully articulated, 20 points of articulation, over 20 points of articulation, and it's wearing an outfit inspired by Bloodsport. And he's got the screaming face. He will come with an interchangeable head for a normal face, but the screaming face was our favorite. So we decided to put it out there in the display because it's the Gene St. Jean is the sculptor. He just really nailed it. So that's going to be going up for pre-order hopefully before the end of the year, and it'll probably come out in the summer of 2023.
And along with the sticking in the select scale, I should say, we're also seeing some new Bruce Lee figures. So tell us about the 2 new figures that we have here.
Sure, those are both from Green Hornet. We've got the 2 new Kato figures. The first one is available for pre-order now, him in the black Kato outfit with the hat and the mask. But we're going to do a second figure down the road of him in his valet outfit with the white jacket, very, very dapper looking. And that one, I don't think we have a pre-order date on that yet, but we might wait until we get closer to the release of the first Kato, just so we aren't, putting too many out for pre-order before they ship. So we like to spread it out a little bit.
And lastly, when we had you on the pod last time, we talked about the new AEW product and how exciting it is that you guys are getting into wrestling, but now we're seeing it in person. So tell us again about these mini-mates.
The mini-mates are one of my favorites. I love mini-mates, and I love AEW. So these are my Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. They're 2-inch posable figures, 14 points of articulation, fully interchangeable. And they are going to be sold in 4-packs. So the first set has CM Punk, Chris Jericho, Britt Baker, and Kenny Omega. And then we're going to do a second series after that. The first series comes with folded chair and a breakaway table. And then the second series will come with a ladder. And we're working on a deluxe set and as well as some exclusive 2-packs. So lots coming up, and it's going to be a big line for us. We're very excited about it.
And the other thing that we haven't seen for a while that's in these cases now are the Sonic the Hedgehog figures. So tell us what we're looking at here.
Sure. We showed off some concept art and packaging examples at New York Toy Fair, I think in 2019 or 2020. No, 2019. There wasn't one in 2020. No, that was 2020. And we showed off, but now we're showing off the actual figures. These are the sculpts. Articulation hasn't been cut into them yet, so when you look at them, they're going to look like statues. But these are just to show off the designs and the characters and exactly what they're going to look, more or less what they're going to look like. There will be articulation. These are going to be action figures. So definitely keep posted for more news about that. We'll definitely keep you in the loop. Any
timeline on those yet, or just TBD?
I think we're looking to solicit them in the next couple of months. I don't know if we're going to solicit them with all the full articulation cut in terms of the photography, but we'll have to see how that shakes out. Hopefully in the next couple of months you'll see them in previews, and then they'll come out in like summer or fall of 2023.
Awesome. Thank you, Zach.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for coming by, man.
Thank you, Zach. Good to hear from you again. I'm sure, Erik, it was good to see Zach again.
It's always a pleasure. Always a pleasure to see Zach. Their booth was a lot of fun. This was also the first time I got to meet Chuck, who's the CEO of Diamond, and he 100% lived up to the hype. As Zach has talked about him, at length.
Gene St. Jean.
Yes, but Gene was not there at this event. Chuck, okay. Yeah, Chuck was. We met Gene back at ZapCon, but Chuck was here at this. He is just an absolute, he's a riot. He is an encyclopedia of licensing intel and information. It was funny. We were going back and forth talking about like different things that like I had just asked him if he had ever explored the option on stuff, and it's so funny because his answers are like, "Yep, tried it, couldn't get it. Somebody else has it, and they're sitting on it. Yeah, that would be nice. Too expensive." Like, it was just really funny to like talk licensing with him about stuff.
Um, but speaking of Gene St. Jean, he's the one that did the sculpt for the Jean-Claude Van Damme figure that they had. And he will have a second expression, like Zach mentioned, but the one that they got approved first from Jean-Claude was the screaming face from
Which
Bloodsport,
rules.
which it's just perfect. Yeah, super super cool. Really excited. Apparently Jean-Claude Van Damme is like a super nice dude. They had nothing but nice things to say about him. He's been really easy to work with, in terms of getting this figure made. Outside of that soundbite, they also did host a panel, and there were a couple of really big nuggets in that panel too, in terms of things that are coming. The one that jumped out to me, just because I haven't heard anything about it, there are more Cobra Kai figures coming, and more characters. So it's not just going to be Daniel and Johnny
And Kreese and Johnny.
Kreese, like just getting reskinned. They said that they hinted that there are more characters coming. So I'm really really hoping that we're going to get some of the kids, because they also announced that their deforms, those little blind box figures, have the kids in there. So like I
Well,
know
that, and there's the Cobra Kai verse has exploded in season 5. So.
Oh yeah. We need a silver figure at the very least. There's a lot we need, but we need a Terry Silver figure. Yeah, that, and they announced a new Marvel Select figure. They didn't have it on display, but they showed it during their presentation. Blade,
Okay.
like a more modern comic version of Blade. So it's not Wesley Snipes, but it looks really great. The only reason they didn't have it on display yet is because they don't have the accessories worked out. So they only had a picture of the figure without accessories, but he had a ton of holsters and pouches and sheaths and all kinds of things. So it looks like he's going to come, armed to the teeth. Yeah, really really great stuff from Diamond. It's always cool to see how they're looking to kind of expand their offering in both statue and PVC diorama and of course action figure and mini mates. And then what was really neat was Jungle Boy actually swung by the booth, and while they don't have an AEW product for him quite yet, um, they were handing out these blanks, these little mini mate blanks, because mini mates are also celebrating their 20th anniversary, which is really cool. So in order to kind of get people who might not be familiar with mini mates, especially like the wrestling figure world, excited about AEW mini mates, they were handing out these little black painted blank mini mates, just to kind of show you how they can pose, how they can get into like fighting stances and everything, how their pieces come off and they're swappable. Really really cool, and they kept hinting at a deluxe AEW mini mate set. So I'm thinking,
Yeah, I'm definitely thinking of dipping my toe into the mini mates genre with these. The Vinny mates are cool. The CM Punk and Sting. So,
but they just look, seeing them in person, they look really great. And once
the
you
statues.
The statues look great, but once you kind of get your first mini mate, like I totally understand it now. I left the con with some non AEW mini mates, because I was kind of the blank sold me. I was kind of blown away by the blank, so I now have a couple of sets to play with. So you'll see some pictures coming up of those. But yeah, so I mean that of course that only scratches the surface of what was at New York Comic Con. This episode could easily be a whole other hour talking about the and this isn't even all the toy booths. There were, of course, the Good Smile Company were there. There was Handmade by Robots. There was so many different toy vendors, indie toys. Our friends from the Plunderlings were there, which we should plug.
New Jersey Toy Con
next weekend. Yeah, New Jersey Toy Con is next weekend. It is what is that? October 15th and 16th.
I believe it's the 15th and 16th.
Yeah, October 15th and 16th in Wayne, New Jersey Toy Con. Two very awesome. I mean, there's going to be a lot of vendors there, a lot of toys for sale, but two very awesome indie toy companies that have, we've interacted with both. One New Jersey-based Fox Forge Toys have officially launched their Stardust figure line, and they have a special colorway that's like Boba Fett inspired. That'll be only available at the convention. It's gorgeous. We've both seen it in person. It's a beautiful figure. And then Plunderlings, who of course have been on the show before, and they are the indie toy darling of the toy industry. They have a special drench, so that's their aquatic themed translucent colorway Plunderling figures.
He's translucent purple, if I remember
Translucent
correctly.
purple. Yep. And they had him on display at Comic-Con, and it is, I mean, they're just striking. I got a chance to look at a prototype of another one of the Plunderstrongs. They showed me things that they friendier, I guess we could say. I'm not allowed to talk about. But they have even Ricky he is full steam ahead with this, and he is already planning things for like the next 2 years. And he showed me some things that he's kind of tinkering with and working on. And boy, if you're a Plunderlings fan, there's a lot to be excited about. That's all I will say.
That and Ricky's great.
Yeah. Him and his brother, both fantastic.
Yeah.
They were giving stuff.
Got to see him at Toy Pizza Con.
Yeah, they were giving stuff away to like kids that were walking by. Like they're so nice, so passionate about what they do, and their product freaking rules. So the best of luck to them in literally everything that they do. So, but yeah, so that's oh wait, shoot, I did forget one thing. I forgot one thing. There was another big reveal from Marvel. So before we wrap this up, we're going to hop back to Marvel just for 1 second. A specific MCU trailer dropped right before New York Comic-Con that showed us a little bit more of what's going to happen in Wakanda Forever. And while I don't have pictures of it, I was not allowed to take pictures of it. They did officially reveal it during a Marvel Live segment during New York Comic-Con, and I got to see it up close and personal. The yet to be revealed who is under the mask female Black Panther figure coming to Marvel Legends was revealed. It's gorgeous. Like, it has that really awesome slender pinless frame. It looked, from what I could tell, to be an all new sculpt. Absolutely gorgeous. Very, very like lock and key secret project. Obviously, they didn't want anything spoiled before the trailer. Now we can all speculate who is under the costume. Is it going to be the expected choice of Shuri, or is it going to be Nakia? We'll have to wait and find out, because we don't know. Comics would tell us it would be Shuri, but it's the MCU. Anything's possible. It's probably not Riri Williams. I think that's a safe bet. But heck, it could be Okoye. Don't know. They don't know. But it's a gorgeous figure. So that movie comes out November 11th? November.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
I believe.
November. But yeah, that was another awesome reveal from the Marvel Legends team. So really cool event. Comic-Con was great. I'm really sad that you couldn't be there with me, Dave.
You bumped into both Jungle Boy and Danhausen. How did Maddie feel about that?
Oh yeah, I mean, all right. So if you want to see the kind of like full coverage of Comic-Con, I did the best I could to be as in depth as possible on our Instagram page. So just go to Instagram, and if you go, you don't have to scroll very far down in our feed if you're listening to this on the day it airs. If you decide to listen to this a year from now, I'm really sorry. You're gonna have to scroll pretty far to find this stuff. But
and we'll probably be talking about that Comic-Con as well.
Yeah. But if you're listening to this episode as it's new, I highly recommend going to our Instagram feed. We're at AIC_podcast. Danhausen dropped in on the Marvel Legends team and tried to curse them because he was making demands for Marvel Legends figures that they haven't made yet, and he's going to be really, really disappointed if this project doesn't get backed. So, I mean, I don't want any of us to be cursed. So if that's really the selling factor, then then that. But yeah, really, really great con. Would have been great if you were there too, Dave. But like I said, life sometimes life gets in the way. With that, Dave, any other closing thoughts about your reactions to Comic-Con from afar?
No, maybe I'll see you next year, hopefully.
All right, Dave. Then
I make no guarantees because I pretty much told her, yeah, I'll see you at Comic-Con. So we're not going to do that anymore.
Well, send us
no guarantees. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, dear listener, for hanging out with us today. Subscribe, rate, and review us wherever you listen, and then tell your friends to do it. Thanks also to Joe Azzari, the golden voice behind our intro. Our music is Game Boy Horror by the Zombie Dandies. Find more about them both in our show notes.
Follow us on social media at AIC_podcast on Instagram and Twitter. Stop by and say hi, show us your toy hauls, and share your toy stories. Maybe we'll talk about it in a future episode.
Don't try this at home. Void where prohibited and some assembly required. Each sold separately, not a flying toy. Consult a physician if your toy run exceeds more than 4 hours.
This has been a non-productive media presentation. Executive producer, Frank Hablawi. This program and many others like it on the Non-Productive Network is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives license. Please share it, but ask before trying to change it or sell it. For more information, visit non-productive.com.